All right. This is the first official episode of the Shipmate Sports Podcast. I'm Mike. Alongside me is Joey. Joey's actually the one that does all the work around here. I'm just here for, I don't know what, have a beard or something. That's
the looks,
really
buddy. The looks.
Yeah. So, thank you very much for tuning in. We got a subscriber, I think.
We got a few, buddy.
We got a few subscribers.
Yeah.
So we are, man, we're going viral here. So we got microphones and everything. One of our sponsors here.
Yeah, we're looking legit, pal. It kind of looks like we know what we're doing, huh?
Yeah. So watch out, world. Anyway, so we'll roll right into it. No introductions this time.
Yeah.
If you want to see
no pleasantries, buddy. No pleasantries. Let's just get right into it.
All right. So biggest thing going in sports right now, biggest story's got to be the NBA Finals.
100%. Yeah.
Milwaukee won Game 5. They're up 3-2 in the series, and
they've won three straight. Correct?
They've won 3 straight.
Mm-hmm.
They were down 2-0, came back, won 3 straight. Now, winning at home is a little bit easier, no matter. Well, it's supposed to be easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
In most sports. I know in hockey you get like the last line change and stuff like that, so you can kind of
basketball. I mean, it works in basketball too. They feed off the crowd. It's real. I know. There's no technical rule advantage, I don't believe, in the NBA, but they definitely feed off the crowds a lot more in the NBA, and you feel it when you're there, and you can see it on TV too.
Yeah, and then in basketball, you're sitting like right behind the bench. I mean, you could probably reach out and touch the players, and that's kind of like part of this deal going on. When these COVID restrictions came off and the players are having, the fans are throwing stuff. We got, I'm not, regardless how you feel about that. But I mean, there's no it's very close with the fans there in basketball. So I totally agree. They're counting there with Giannis's free throws. They're counting the 10 or 12 seconds or whatever. And
that's actually becoming a story in it that they're saying he's taking too long at the free throw line to take his shots. And I know that's what Phoenix was trying to get under his skin with. And I know he was having trouble at the line, and especially in Game 5.
Yeah. And so, the crowd is definitely involved. And I mean, energy is a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
So if the crowd is putting out that positive energy for your team, and I would totally agree that players feed off that and everything.
Yep. The game 5, I mean, you just I didn't pick it right up there at the end of that game. I mean, that turnover there at the end was tough. I mean, Booker's driving in, less than 10 seconds. He's going for the lead. He gets the block. Holiday steals the ball, alley-oops it to Giannis, basically puts the game away right there. What I'm surprised about is how, listening to sports radio, listening to, some of the major, sports cable networks, everybody's counting out Phoenix now. They're saying Phoenix is done. It's over. And it kind of surprises me because after Game 2, everybody was saying the same thing about Milwaukee. And I understand Milwaukee's won 3 straight, but, I definitely am not going to count out Phoenix. I don't know where you're standing on that one.
No, I think the series is 3-2.
Yeah.
And Phoenix has a good enough understanding. I think they have a good enough understanding of the situation. Like, hey guys, it's 3-2. We got to go get this win. It definitely felt like at the end of that game, and even the day after, dude, Milwaukee just wants this game. They just want it more than Phoenix does. And now it's, closing out a team.
And that's hard to say because I don't think that there's any one player in this series that wants it more than Chris Paul.
I would agree with that. I would say Chris Paul definitely he's probably the most motivated player to close out to win this series, to get that championship. That doesn't necessarily mean that the other players on his team are as motivated as him. But it just, you look at that game and there's no one stat line that just sticks out they didn't rebound as much, or there's too many steals, or it was the 3-pointers because it was pretty much close down each stat line. And it just, so that tells me, and that's how a lot of these games have been, man. There's no, not winning by 30 or.
We were talking before, and I got the stat line right here for the whole series, and you're talking the averages for the series. You got for points, Milwaukee's got the edge, 113 almost to 112. So you're talking about a 1 point difference right there. Rebounds, Milwaukee's got a little bit of an edge at 45 to 39. Assists is pretty even at 23 to 21. Steals, Milwaukee's got the edge 7 to 6. Blocks, same thing. And, field goal percentage, Phoenix has a little bit of an edge, 50 to 47. 3-point percentage, again, Phoenix has a little bit of an edge, 41 to 37.5. And the real discrepancy we were talking about was the free throw percentage, how Phoenix is up 86 to almost 70% for Milwaukee. And you had mentioned that that's mostly on Giannis and his struggles at the line.
Yeah. And so, when if you take 10 data points, right? And one of those 10 data points, and let's say like all 9 of those data points are 10 out of 10, right? Like there's a scale of 10 out of 10 on each data point, and then one data point is like 0.
Yeah.
Right. That average is just going to come.
It's going to kill it.
Down. Yeah. And so I think that's kind of like what's going on there. I didn't know a lot about this Milwaukee Bucks roster personally, until these playoffs really, really started and they beat the Nets. And so I think that a lot of people thought before the season started, it was going to be, like the Clippers and the Nets in the finals, right? Because
I think the Lakers, the Lakers and Nets is what everybody wanted.
Yeah.
That was actually something I wanted to talk to you about, is that, we've had many discussions about how the NBA finals, for the most part, it always ends up with the 2 teams you kind of expect at the beginning of the season, for the most part. And injuries or not, it's a little bit refreshing to have 2 teams in the finals that we didn't expect to be there. I mean, I'd say Milwaukee, maybe we expected, but not over Brooklyn, just because Brooklyn was so loaded this year. And, just to have 2 new teams in the finals, I think was welcomed. I don't think that they're getting the ratings that they want, but I think that this series has been awesome.
Yeah, and it's like we have the non-LeBron team.
Yeah.
Because and this is kind of a testament to LeBron James and how great and dominant he's been
Absolutely.
since he's been in the NBA. And regardless of how you feel about LeBron, I know he's got the movie out with Space Jam and everything like that, or just maybe like social media things he's done. You can't really deny how great he's been and how great he's been for the NBA in his career. I mean, it's you cannot like him or whatever. And I know that, if you're going to have fans, you're going to have, anti-fans of the guy and everything. But it's kind of like the guys or the people that are, I hate Tom Brady. Like, why do you hate Tom Brady? Well, I'm tired of seeing him. Well, you just got to appreciate it, man, because we're not going to, I mean, who's after LeBron? Who's up and coming and everything? I don't know if there is somebody like that. And so typically it's been, well, whatever team LeBron James is on, and then the victim or somebody else.
Everybody
right?
else. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's kind of a breath of fresh air where, we have a team, a lot of people were saying like Utah might make it there from the West, and Phoenix came out of that. The Clippers, once Kawhi went down, I think it was like, well, they don't have enough to overcome Phoenix.
Yeah.
And then Brooklyn.
Yeah, they had their share of injuries. I know Kyrie went down, and
James Harden really just kind of faded away there, because I thought that between KD and James Harden, that would be enough with the rest of that roster there to, to maybe get through the East. And
but that's why it was nice to see an upset in the NBA. I mean, we've talked about in the NHL. I mean, the number 8 seed can make the Stanley Cup Finals, and nobody would blink an eye. It happens, and upsets happen in the NHL all the time. The NBA, they really are few and far between, and to have 2 teams, kind of sneak through and get there. Again, regardless of injuries, I enjoyed it, and I think that this has been a good series. Different players on the big stage. Chris Paul is getting his due. Now, to that point, let me ask you this. I don't know if you noticed it. Did you see LeBron James at Game 5 in the stands?
No, why is that?
Well, so he went to the game, and he was there to support Chris Paul. And I don't know. I mean, got any feelings on that?
It's weird because in our first episode there, we talked about how, you know, in the 90s it was Michael Jordan and all that, right? And I don't think there was this camaraderie. I mean, you kind of see it now a little bit with that the NBA on TNT, and you got you got Shaq and Charles Barkley. They kind of, you know, they go back and forth and everything, and they're you know, they're friends now. I would say, I think they're good friends and everything now. But while they were playing, I don't think Michael Jordan was friends with even his own teammates.
No.
You know,
no, I mean, I know for a fact, you know, Bird wouldn't have been going to the NBA Finals to cheer on Magic. You know, I mean,
no, yeah, I don't think that existed because I think the competition was just it was a different. I don't know if it was different because you could be more physical with each other. I mean, basketball in like the 80s and 90s, it was almost like hockey, right? Yeah. I mean, it was dang near football at some point. You know, the Detroit Bad Boys there with the Pistons and everything.
Is it a good look or a bad look, you think, for him, or does it, you kind of indifferent on it? I don't know. I think it comes across almost as soft that you're there supporting another team when your team's been eliminated from the playoffs. I mean,
I think it can, because with the sports we grew up with, if I would have seen something like that, I'm like, why is he there to support him? Don't they? Because when you're on the court or when you're on the field of play and you're going against you're going against your opponent. I mean, I remember when I was playing sports, like, I don't want anything good for these people. Like, maybe if, you know, there's a little free agency and they come to our team or something like that, then yeah, we can get along. But I mean, so I think it does go to show that you can be competitive, and when you're on the court, you can do everything you can to beat that team.
Yeah.
Right. And kind of realize that, hey, you know, life is bigger than basketball, and you can be friends outside of, you know, your profession.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do that. I commend the professional athletes that can, because there's a lot more to basketball now, like with the amount of endorsements that they get.
Yeah.
And it is a very player-driven league.
Yeah, and then they're also you know, with the sponsors and stuff. I mean, they're a close-knit group with, you know, their different sponsors, and they're all together at, you know, when they're doing advertisement and whatnot. So I get that there's a close group, and I get that I think the group was LeBron, Wade, Paul, and I think there's somebody else, the Banana Boat crew. I just, you know, I felt, you know, your team wasn't in it. You know, you're kind of taking the spotlight away from the two teams in the final. Your team's not there. You know, you'll probably be back there next year. So, you know, give these two teams their spot, and, you know, congratulate them on the side. Congratulate, you know, to send them a text after the game, send them a text after the series, that type thing, you know? You don't need to be front row.
Yeah. LeBron can't really control his spotlight. I mean, wherever he goes, it's going to be somebody's taking a picture.
Yeah, but he knows that.
Yeah,
he knows that.
He's got to be aware of that to some degree. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so he knows that if he's sitting courtside, you know, he's going to get his 5 minutes in the sun from, you know, whatever station is carrying the game.
Yeah, I remember there's a story of Robin Williams when he went to go see Joe Rogan live, right?
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan was doing a stand-up, and Robin Williams put on like a disguise to go see it, because he didn't want to take away from Joe Rogan's performance or anything like that. Now, I'm not saying LeBron has to go
disguise,
go disguise and everything like that. I don't know. I think he was there to support him. I don't know if he's trying to do that whole, like, hey, look at me, I'm still relevant type of. I don't think it's that. I don't think
he meant for it to come off that way. I mean, to me, that's a little bit of how it came off, and I just. Like I said, I don't think Magic's going to be supporting Bird. I don't think Bird's going to be supporting Magic. I don't think Michael Jordan was going to be out there, you know, supporting anybody.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll still do that, man. I think that, you know, it's just kind of the way that some people are. And I mean, the whole friendship thing, man, I think it's a really good message for younger athletes. Like, hey, you guys don't have to hate each other, like actually hate each other, you know, outside of the field of play, outside of the court and everything like that. You can support each other, like, hey man, they beat us, and or whatever, we're not in it, I'm here to support my friend. They probably have a group text It's like LeBron, KD, Chris Paul. I don't know if Kawhi's in there. Maybe Kawhi. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like there's like this all-star basketball group text they have going on, and maybe they're doing like because they're setting up businesses and everything outside of the sport.
Wow.
And anyway, yeah, I guess that may have taken away from the game a little bit, but this series has been
so good. That's what I
want. It's just been so good, yeah.
And that's what I wanted to piggyback to that and say, we're going into Game 6. Do you have the Suns dead and buried, or you think that there's still life? What do you got going on?
I definitely think there's still a chance the Suns come back and win this thing. They bring it
now
home.
You're going Game 6 is going to be in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah, and Milwaukee, it's one of those. It's weird because it's one of those things I think where it's set up for Milwaukee to close this thing out. Like everything is just kind of like, the pins are set. All you got to do is roll the ball down. Even if it's a gutter ball, man, it'll just roll it down the lane and knock this thing down, like knock it out. But I'm not counting out Phoenix. The way this series has been, I mean, even that last game, it was so close, but.
Then let's do it this way to put a bow on it. Prediction time. What do you got? What do you got for the rest of the series? I'm saying Suns in 7.
Man, I want to say Milwaukee wins it. I want to say they close it out.
You think so?
It's not all about Giannis.
Middleton's having a great series.
Well, Middleton, Drew Holiday, even Brooke Lopez. I mean, the whole team of Milwaukee. Now Giannis is the focal point.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Chris Paul is the focal point of Phoenix. Mm-hmm. But the way it's going, I think. Oh man, I think Milwaukee closes it out. I think it's Milwaukee in 6, which pains me to say because I want Chris Paul to. But I don't know, man. It just seems like they're out of gas or something. I don't,
I love Booker, and I think Booker is going to go off. Is Game 6 tonight or tomorrow night? I think it's tomorrow night, right?
I think it's tomorrow night. So,
I think Booker is going to go off, and I think Suns are going to take it back to Phoenix, and I think they'll win. I think they'll win in 7. That's where I'm going with it, Mike.
So yeah, I think that Milwaukee closed it out Game 6. I will say this, like it is like 51-49% for me, like 51 Milwaukee, 49 Phoenix. It's so.
Well, either way, we'll either be our next podcast. We'll either be discussing an NBA champion, or we'll be looking at a Game 7. So I mean, we got something to look forward to.
Yeah, our next one's probably going to be Wednesday or Thursday this week.
Yeah, so we'll either have an NBA champion crowned, or we'll be looking at our next one.
But I think this NBA final, this has been great to really see, and we don't have, it's not Brooklyn. There's no super team in the finals at the moment.
Yeah.
Although both these teams are quite super.
But
yeah, I think that's been pretty cool.
All right. Well, let's go this route. Let's change gears a little bit. Story coming out this week that my former favorite quarterback, Mr. Tom Brady.
Former favorite quarterback?
Former favorite quarterback.
The allegiances run hard here at
actually, Sports, before we get into this, we gotta know what's in the cup, Mike.
Coffee.
Just regular coffee?
I got a little cream in there. It's just coffee.
All right. So we just found out that word's coming out from, I think Brady's people are dropping this, that Brady played the whole season last year with a torn MCL. I've discussed with you that I just think it's news to make himself sound more superior than he already is. I think it's something that wasn't really that newsworthy. I mean, the guy won a Super Bowl at 43 years old on his first year with a new team, which to me is impressive enough. If it is true, hats off to him. It's impressive. I don't know why the air in his tires needed to be pumped any higher than they already were. I don't know what you
So this is kind of like a, hey, let's inflate Brady's legend, his legacy a little bit more by saying he was playing on they said it was partially torn at the beginning of the year and then fully torn by the end, by the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it came out, excuse me, I got it up here. The Tampa Bay Times said that it was partially torn MCL that he suffered in the final season with the Patriots. And then this week, the NFL Network reported that it was a fully torn MCL that he played with for the entire season, which he had repaired following the season. A season in which, he led the Bucs to an 11-5 record, threw for a very impressive 4,600 yards with 40 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, and then obviously led them to a Super Bowl win with wins over Breeze, Rodgers, and Mahomes. You take the MCL thing out, and that's an amazing story in and of itself.
I mean, I wish my team could do it. I mean, I think a lot of us wish our teams could do it. There's 31 other teams or maybe 30 other teams, I think, because you got the AFC, the Chiefs in there. But I mean,
his legacy is written, Mike.
I think you already know. Yeah, I think it's already who's the best quarterback ever. Oh, Tom Brady. He's.
You don't need this other stuff. It's to me, it's not newsworthy. He's already accomplished everything. He's if you cut his career in half, he's a Hall of Famer first ballot for the first half of his career and the second half of his career. What he's done is just incredible.
I think that. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's just. When I heard this, I just said, this is news that didn't need to come out. This is news that sounds like it's coming, in my opinion, probably from his people, just to make him sound like a bigger god than he already is.
It's when he was with New England, right? Yeah. And we I think everybody talks about this. I know we've talked about it, where news like this doesn't come out in New England. News doesn't come out of New England.
No.
That's it. I mean, that's the long and the short of it.
Absolutely.
And so now, Brady, he was on that show Barbershop there. He had a little interview, which is nice. Get out there, do your thing.
Get your name out there. Do whatever you need to do to promote yourself.
Yeah, and we got this story coming out, and you go from Belichick, who, in my opinion, is the best coach. He's the GOAT of coaches.
Yes.
And he's up there with the legends. Yeah. Shula, Lombardi, and I'm missing some. I'm missing coaches here just off the top of my head, but he's up there.
Yeah.
If not, he's at the top. Whatever. But anyway.
Yeah.
And so you go to a guy like Bruce Arians and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, Tampa Bay atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a buttoned-up organization.
No.
Comparatively to New England. In fact, I don't know if any organization is as buttoned up as New England. Sure. And you don't have to be, you don't have to run a tight ship like that in New England to win, obviously. I mean, even the Chiefs are doing it there with Mahomes. And Andy Reid's a little bit more of a, he's got it together, but he's more of a, easygoing guy.
He's more lax. Yeah, he's more lax than Belichick. Sure.
I think when he first got there, they were doing like barbecue, once a week or something like that. And I don't know if they do that. I'm not saying New England doesn't have barbecue. I'm just saying that I don't know if Belichick is like, hey guys, we got the smoker lined up out here, get some ribs, And personally, like from somebody that loves smoked ribs, I would be more motivated to play in Kansas City. And so now we have these stories coming about Tom Brady, and I think. Number one, it doesn't need to come out. It doesn't necessarily need to be said. Was he on the injury report all last season?
Honestly,
I don't know if he was. I don't think he was.
Yeah.
And so there will be like a fine for that if they need to do that.
Well, the other thing we said is if it was here, if he had played this last season with the Patriots, and the Patriots went on and won the Super Bowl, and the even if it's true, I don't think the MCL thing would have come out, because like we discussed, when you play for Belichick, it's either you can play fine or you can't play fine. There is no in between. If you're playing hurt, you're playing. That's the same as if you're playing at 100% for Belichick. He doesn't care about the other side of it. And I don't know, maybe Brady's played his seasons in the past for the Patriots with injuries, and he wasn't able to, let it be heard that he was great and he did it with an injury. So this year he had to let it be known that, I was able to do all this at 43 years old. Plus I had a torn MCL.
Yeah. That's true. I do think Belichick does care about his players. We've heard stories in the past, of from the outside looking in that Belichick is this drill sergeant type of coach and everything.
It's the not fun environment is what they all say.
Exactly. And you've heard stories that Belichick is actually a player's coach, that he's not this guy who he doesn't have like a total lack of empathy towards his players, and he understands what it takes to win and be successful. And you can't treat your people like that, the way that he's perceived, or the way that some people would probably like to have him be perceived. Every interview I've seen with Belichick, which are few and far between, but the guy knows. I mean, you can just kind of see it when he talks about football. He's like one of these like football nerds, you know what I mean? Like when you hear him talk and everything, he's he just kind of sounds like that, but he loves the game, and I think he understands that you have to support your people. But like we know how Belichick has ran that organization in terms of the relationship with the media and how stories get leaked and stuff like that, and it hasn't happened in the past. I mean, remember when they took James Harrison for that year they went to the playoffs, and there was an interview with James Harrison. I think he got like one tweet, right, saying thank you to the Steelers and all that, and then he got another tweet saying like thank you to the Patriots, and then he had an interview with like local Boston media, and it was like, we're on to
basically radio silence type thing.
Yeah, it was basically radio silence, and I remember the anchors there at ESPN were like, geez, man, it happens quick over there, doesn't it? And it's just like, well, I mean, it's how, it's the culture. And I mean, the culture is successful. The culture is strong and, underneath Belichick. I mean, I don't think Cam Newton has come out and he's one of the more outspoken people in the NFL. And I don't think he's really come out and said like, oh man, Belichick's over here trying to, put the handcuffs on me and I can't, tweet or, make it. And I don't think that's really it. Now, I don't think that Belichick is this drill sergeant type of dude. So I'm kind of rambling here and everything. The coffee's kicking in. What can I say?
It's all right.
But yeah, I think that this is like Brady's getting ready to retire.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think that he's got this injury, right? And I would like to believe it's not one of these like attention grabbing type of press releases like, hey, look at me, I played on no MCL, won the Super Bowl, right?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what it's needed for then.
Yeah.
He's already, in most logical football fan mind, he's already the greatest. He should definitely be the greatest quarterback, if not the greatest football player of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got your fans out there that just are going to hate him and say he's cheating, whatever. But logical football fans will all agree that he is the greatest quarterback of all time. All this thing is doing now is just trying to say, he's superhuman at this point. He won the Super Bowl at 43. He had a great year. He had a great playoff. What is this? What is this report getting him?
I'm with you on that. It's, you can decide to release what you want to release, like as a player to some extent. And we know that Tom Brady has a lot of say of what goes on in Tampa Bay. And I mean, why wouldn't you? If Tom Brady was coming to Detroit, I'd be like, give him the keys to the car, man. Let him run the show.
Sure.
Like, give him whatever he wants, because when Tom Brady comes on your team, right, or when he joins your team, that it's playoffs or bust.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's Tom Brady's not joining.
We were just talking about LeBron and how LeBron, it's basically you got LeBron, you're going to the finals. I mean, you got Brady, you're looking at least an AFC champion, or excuse me, an NFC championship or a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and
we discussed it last time. He's been in the league for 20 years. He's been in the Super Bowl 11 times, something insane. So more than half of the time he's in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think every year he's at least been in the playoffs, except for the Matt Castle year where they even still won 10 games. But I mean, he didn't join, he didn't go to Jacksonville. I mean, he went to Tampa Bay, you know what I mean? And Tampa Bay they weren't blowing the doors off of, the league or anything like that. So, and now we're picking them to win the division this year. And go back to the Super Bowl potentially. And so
if they're saying that he had the surgery, so I mean, it should be that it's healed at this point. But I don't know, is this like now going to be an excuse if, I don't think it will happen, but if he gets off to a slow start, is it automatically going to be, the MCL's not right? He's dealing still the injury is still there. He's still dealing with it. Is that what's going to be in the back of everybody's mind now? Is he giving himself an out?
I potentially, I mean, he is 43.
Exactly.
Right. It's got to factor in at some point. You got to be like, dude, I've been doing this a long time. I want to move on to. He probably do broadcasting or coaching. I mean, I don't know what life after football looks like for Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But I think that any network would be happy to have him do some analysis or commentating, whatever he wants to do. I'm surprised Peyton Manning hasn't really gotten into that because he
does some stuff on ESPN.
Yeah, well, he has done some stuff with ESPN. That's true. I thought he would be like a Tony Romo type of role there with these, calling the games because he'd be great. He could probably do the same thing like Romo's doing, where he just calls the play and then the play happens. He's like, I told you. And anyway, that'd be cool to see Peyton. But yeah, he is doing some stuff with ESPN. So yeah, maybe Tom Brady's he's setting it up where he's like, well, I got this knee injury and I've had to have a surgery. I play for so long at such a high level and he's done everything. I mean, what more?
There's nothing
left for him really. Yeah.
Nothing.
And
there's absolutely outside of a perfect season, there's nothing left for him to accomplish.
And I think that, and now with the season getting longer, right, it's that's getting moved further out of reach for anybody, and so I think
just nothing left.
Yeah, I think this is now. I am not predicting Tom Brady's retirement. I'm not doing that. He might play until he's 46. We don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
Mike, he might play until we're 46.
He might play. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I'm more impressed by the fact that he took the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in his first season with them to the playoffs.
Yep.
Beat the teams that they beat, New Orleans and Green Bay.
Yep.
And this is before Aaron Rodgers is unhappy with Green Bay, but and won the Super Bowl. And
that's my point right there, Mike, is what he did last year was incredibly impressive.
I agree. I think it's it's almost that point, like, it's the off season. You got to talk about something. But I mean, in previous off seasons, nobody, Brady's not the focal point. It's typically, a lot of people talk about Dallas because, the large fan base there, and they typically get more clicks or more views. And then you fill it in with maybe there's some free agency stuff going on, but yeah, Brady hasn't typically been like the one that the news story is the focal point and stuff like that. So I think it's kind of like, after this season, depending on how it goes, it's setting it up for Tom Brady to walk away from playing football.
I mean, that'd be interesting.
But I agree with you.
I think he wants to hit 45 at least. So that's two more. In my opinion, I think he wants at least two more. But again, we'll see. But this whole thing. Well,
I'm kind of with you. Like, you don't need it. You don't need to add to your
No, I mean, I'm sure Tampa Bay wants him to hang around a little bit anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I'm down here in Central Florida, man. I wouldn't mind going to see the Bucks play and seeing Brady in action and everything. Watch him throw a couple touchdowns.
I mean, to that point, they're already saying. I mean, up here, the game when he comes back here to Foxborough, they're already saying that that's probably going to be one of the most expensive regular season games ever to go to.
Tickets are like $5,000 or something like that, or whatever.
It's disgusting money. You want to hop into the NHL a little bit?
Yeah, let's do that, man. We do have some news there. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit here. We got a couple more things we want to hit on before we wrap this one up. The NHL Expansion draft is this week, Mike. I believe it's Wednesday night. The Seattle Kraken, Michael. Seattle Kraken. What do you think?
First of all, I think it's a great location.
Love it.
And it's a great name. It's just, I think they got two things going for them, if anything else. I don't know what players are going to get, but
the last two, this and the Vegas, they nailed the last two expansion teams and nailed them.
I think Vegas is a great place for hockey now. And that's because, and now, you know, in years past, I don't know if this was 30 years ago, it wouldn't be a great place for hockey just because of the climate.
No, but they're building it.
Yeah. And I mean, we have the technology now to make ice in Las Vegas. I mean, keep the ice, you know, and their team has been successful too. And yeah,
but so I think Seattle is just an awesome location for a hockey team.
Yeah.
I've never been able to get out. That's one of my bucket list places I'd love to get out to. But for a sports city, I mean, Seattle definitely is a great sports location. I mean, I think even their soccer team does really, really well.
I mean, their football team does really well.
Yeah,
I mean, those fans are ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, I believe, I think we were talking before, I believe there's been talk about them getting their NBA team back. I don't know if that's imminent or if that's just, you know, in the discussion phase. But that's definitely a city that deserves all four major sports teams.
And that's like a sports weather type of region of the country too. You know, it's up there, it's rainy a lot, good coffee, good beer, you know what I mean? The fans are probably ready to go and get out to an event.
You said you like the name too, huh?
Yeah, Kraken, I think that's a pretty cool team name.
The jerseys look pretty cool, man. I mean, I like it, man. I love the jersey. I love the colors. I think they nailed it. You know what we did say? I wish it was not an expansion. I wish it was a team relocating. You know?
Yeah, they're trying to round out to an even number of 32. That's kind of like what we're seeing there, because they had 31 teams, and this will bring them to an even. And 32 is fine. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we need to expand or maybe relocation in the future, but you know, the NHL has such a they have a large minor league system.
Yeah.
Right, with the AHL, the QMJ, you know, Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, college hockey, and so there are a lot of, you know, like subsidiaries of the NHL where they can pull talent from.
Yeah.
If somebody goes down with an injury, and I mean, if we're going to talk about sports injuries, I mean, hockey has got to be up there with football. I mean, a guy takes a puck to the face, goes in, gets stitches, and comes back out onto it. Sometimes not even go get stitches. They let, you know.
Stays on the ice, finishes his shift.
You know, and I was watching the United States play Canada over the weekend as well, and it was just like, really? And so you watch, you watch hockey and like, and so I think, anyway, but so they have a pretty large farm league. So I won't get in there to the comparison of toughness between hockey and soccer.
We don't have to go there.
Deviate. But yeah, so there's a pretty cool foundation already there for a hockey team to go to with just the fans and the location.
I think that's gonna thrive. I think that it's a great location. And to that point, you know, what helped Vegas is right off the bat, they had a great expansion draft, and they obviously had a great inaugural season. I know they made it to the Cup. I know they didn't win it, but did it go 7?
I think I want to say the Caps won it in 6. It might have been 7. I don't know. I think they won it in 6.
We'll have to look that up. But
yeah, but either way, they went to the Stanley Cup final. They went to the Western Conference final. And
exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know how well you remember it, but that playoff, like their home playoff arena atmosphere was electric.
Oh, it's live. It's big time, man. Like they put on it's Vegas, baby. They put on a whole show. I mean, it's great. Yeah.
And so what I'd love to see happen, and I know a lot of people hate that expansion teams do well out of the gate, but I would love to see Seattle do well out of the gate and get themselves a real strong fan base. And I was looking at some of the players that were available. I believe each team was allowed to protect 10.
You can protect. Yeah.
I think the Bruins protected 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and a goalie. So I guess 11. The thing that really raised my eyebrows now, I keep hearing that it probably will not happen, but Carey Price is eligible to be taken, and I think that would be a huge get to just start a team with one of the best goalies in the league.
Well, yeah, we talked about, we've talked about before how in hockey, you build from the back to the front a little bit there. You got to have a number one goalie. Mm-hmm. And without Carey Price, Montreal doesn't go on that run that they went on this past season to get to the Stanley Cup final. I mean, a lot of people felt that they kind of snuck into the playoffs, because all the COVID restrictions and everything. They didn't really have to, they had their own division up there in Canada and everything like that. But, once they got into the playoffs, the teams that they beat, I would say Carey Price was a large part of that. And if I can get Carey Price on my team, and there's other people that are available. You got some guys down there at Tampa that are available to get. And I think they could potentially get Alex Ovechkin over there.
Yeah, I believe Alex Ovechkin was left unprotected.
It was kind of the thought of like, well, if you get him, you might get him for a season, then he's an unrestricted free agent, and then he might just go back to the Caps or something like that.
Yeah, he's one of the people that, even though I know it comes down to contracts, and that's more digging than I'm going to do right now, but I know a lot of it has to do with money and, trying to make sure everything fits.
I don't know if you necessarily afford Ovechkin and Price on the same. And want to actually build a team. Yeah.
I'm looking here, the Bruins have Tuukka Rask available. I mean, and he's not going anywhere. He's already said that he's going to play for the Bruins and nobody else. Trying to look at some of the different names that have been, associated with them.
Well, you got
there's some good names.
Yeah, I think Tarasenko is available. If I'm Seattle, I just go all in to grab. You got to get a couple big names because, I think Vegas did it where they got Marc-Andre Fleury.
Well, that's what I was trying to find. I was trying to find some comparisons because when they drafted Fleury, he had a couple, not so much down years in Pittsburgh, but
it wasn't like the All-Star Cup winning years that he had with them.
Exactly, and even when they were winning the Cup, it was more, he wasn't like the catalyst behind it, and I know when Vegas took him, people thought that he might be their starter, but I don't think anybody expected him to turn out to be, one of the top 5 goalies in the NHL. I mean, he was a good goalie, but I definitely don't think that.
Well, I don't think he was the main reason Pittsburgh was winning those cups. I mean, the Crosby-Malkin dynamic there is pretty heavy. That plays into that. I mean, as much whatever you feel about Sidney Crosby, he's the guy. I think he's probably like the best player in the NHL at, or maybe one of the best players in the NHL, at the moment. Back at, when they were winning those cups, I mean, he definitely had help. I mean, nobody does it alone. I mean, unless it's Gretzky, but I mean, you have to put you have to put more than one line out there. You can have your scoring line and maybe a solid power play, but you see what Tampa Bay did this past year, and Victor Hedman was a large part of that. Mm-hmm. Their goalie, I'm going to butcher his name. I forget how to say his name, but their goalie played really well. Mm-hmm. And you got Tyler Johnson, Nikita Kucherov in there as well. So, I mean, you have to have, and I'm forgetting it, you also have to have a good coach, too. I mean, let's not forget about how important that is. Before Trotz got to the Washington Capitals, they were kind of like, yeah, this team should win a championship, but they're not.
They couldn't get over that hump. They were basically the San Jose Sharks of the East, you know?
Yeah, that's a very good comparison. And he went in there, got rid of some guys that are just kind of skating through for notoriety, and then brought in guys that are like, here to win. And also, and that's what he did over there. Now they didn't win the cup this year, but even the New York Islanders with Trotz at the helm, right? They took Tampa Bay to 7 games. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yep.
And I felt like that series was basically this. Whoever wins this series is going to win the cup.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what happened there. And it was like a gentleman's sweep with Tampa Bay. But
I got looking at here real quick. Sorry to cut you off there. There's a good list of veteran goalies that I wouldn't mind them seeing taking one of these guys to throw in there and get themselves a younger goalie if they don't go after Carey Price. But I mean, you talk about somebody like a Jonathan Quick, they can, that's somebody that's got experience winning.
And Quick has played. He was, when the Kings were, did they won did they win it?
Yeah, they won.
I'd have to, yeah. And they won it with Jonathan Quick, right?
Oh yeah. Now Jonathan Quick, he carried him through that whole series.
He's in his I think he's around 35.
He's 35 and a half.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe you go after a guy like Jonathan Quick.
And I mean, even your guy, Brandon Holtby, is on this list also. That's another good veteran that's done some winning, that's got some playoff experience. Kind of one of those came out of nowhere guys and had a great run.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he and the Caps parted ways after that. After that run there. You can. I don't know if you want to go with because you want to spark interest.
Yeah.
But you don't want to lose interest. Yeah. I think a franchise like the Montreal Canadiens, they've been around for so long, their original 16, they're always going to have that fan base. They've established their fan base.
And that's why
Maple Leafs.
That's why I'd love to see them come out hot, and I'd love to see them do what Vegas did, because, like I said, Vegas really set themselves up with a great foundation, and Seattle coming out with a good draft on Wednesday. You're talking about 2 really good expansion cities, and could really bring the game out. And then I think another thing that's going to be huge, and we talked about this when it happened, I remember I texted you that morning, was that when ESPN got the rights back to do some games, and they're going to be covering the NHL playoffs and finals now. Get it off of NBC and get it back on ESPN. I mean, me and you grew up watching the NHL on ESPN.
That was like Thursday night hockey or Wednesday night hockey or something, and yeah, it was just fun. You got the game of the week, and NBC has that. I think they have like the Wednesday night rivalry, stuff like that.
It just didn't have the same feel, and just getting it back on ESPN, I think, is going to be good for the game. I think it's going to be good for the stars of the league. Yeah,
I think the thing about the NBC, broadcast is that NBC is like a news network, not really a sports network. Now they have, NBC Sports Network and things of that nature, but they only have hockey, right? And so ESPN will, or even if it was like Fox Sports, was it FS1?
Yeah.
Right. It's just more well known. Like you go to ESPN.com, you go for sports.
Yeah.
You go to NBC.com, it's like TV, sitcoms, maybe some news, and then maybe there's sports. And then even then it's like the dog show, horse racing, you know what I mean? It's not like ESPN has all the big sports, and they're going to throw hockey into that. It'll give them more exposure, give them more money. It's good for the sport. I got nothing wrong with NBC Sport. I got nothing wrong with it. I think they've done a pretty decent job of, maintaining the broadcast. And, but it's, you're right about that. I mean, ESPN.
It'll get the coverage that it deserves finally on ESPN.
Yeah.
It won't get that, you know, it won't get that 1 minute, you know, what they call it, like Melrose Minute or something, you know,
Yeah.
where they cover like 16 hockey games in under 60 seconds, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, ESPN will want to promote the league, and, you know, they'll give it the
I think they
time.
got Stephen A talking about it too. Like
Yeah.
I saw that on commercial. Stephen A is like, I'm going to be talking about hockey. Like, good. Like, I mean, it's a fun sport to watch. It's a fun sport to go to.
Yeah.
And it'll be nice to have hockey back in the mix there with basketball and baseball and everything like that. Nobody's overtaking football anytime soon. I think that's, you know, just is what it is. Even though there's not a whole lot of football news going on right now, but I'm excited for this Seattle Kraken team. I'm definitely going to follow them. It's going to be real interesting to see, you know, what direction they go in as far as, you know, how they're going to build this team, the players that they take. And we'll definitely be talking about that. Yeah.
Any final prediction of something that they might do to surprise you?
I mean, I think they take Price.
You think they take Price?
Yeah, I think
that'd be interesting.
Price. I don't know. I'd like to see them take a guy like Tarasenko, maybe, you know, take one of the popular faces from Tampa Bay, because Tampa Bay's over the cap anyway.
Yeah.
Right. That was talked about when they won their second Stanley Cup in a row here. But I mean, you know, every team can do that. Tampa Bay just did it better than all the other teams, but they didn't win because of that solely. It's definitely a contributing factor. You know, you have all those talented guys on one team, but you still got to play the games. I mean, and they almost lost to New York in there, so
they're going to end up with Carey Price and PK Subban. I know Subban's not what he was, but they're going to end up with Carey Price and PK Subban.
I mean, PK Subban wouldn't be that's not a bad direction to go, man. I say now, if you're going to do those two things, I'd like to see him nab Tarasenko as well. Now you're right. You gotta stay under the cap. You know, financially, can you do these things? We've seen the salary cap be manipulated in other sports. I mean, baseball doesn't even have one, but we'll see what happens. But I think they go after somebody like Carey Price. If not Carey Price, maybe they go after Jonathan Quick to kind of.
You get Carey Price, then you've got instant news. That's instantly newsworthy. You got people paying attention with that one move.
I mean, you don't go after Carey Price for the sole reason of making a headline.
Sure. I mean,
you go after him because it's like we're trying to win some games. Yeah.
And he instantly does that for you. You're talking one of the top 10 goalies in the NHL, and
So I mean, my prediction for that would be, you know, if there's anything crazy that happens in the expansion draft, it's definitely, I think they go after Carey Price and grab him. So.
All right. One little less thing they had to talk about. We'll wrap this up. Mikey, if I give you Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson, I give you those three teams, and I take everybody else, I get the field. Are you doing that?
No, you get the field. You get every other college football team to win the championship, right?
To win the championship,
and I get the three teams that are basically going to make the top four almost guaranteed.
I get everybody else.
So that means that your one team will make the playoff. My three teams will.
Well, how confident are you that those three teams are definitely going to make the playoffs?
I think I'm taking those three teams, man. It's why I get Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney. Yeah, man, I'm just with those two. I mean, I guess I could throw Ohio State on top of that, but I don't think they're. I mean, they are a solid program. Ever since Jim Tressel, I've had a, unfavorable outlook towards Ohio State, but they do. I mean, they're a successful program year in and year out. You can't really deny
as a diehard Wolverines fan, believe me, I've seen Ohio State win once or twice. So
Have you bought a pair of khakis since Harbaugh is?
Oh yeah, I've got the whole look. But you know what? I've slowly stuck it at the bottom of my drawer because I'm really growing tired of Mr. Harbaugh.
Do you think he should go back to the NFL to deviate from our?
Honestly,
do you think he can go back to the NFL?
I'm going to talk strictly here as a giant Michigan Wolverines fan. I'm torn. Before he got there, they were just completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. Since they've got there, they're relevant, but not really, because they just don't win big games. Ohio State kicks their ass every year. Michigan State, for the most part, kicks their ass. And I don't know. I'm giving them one more. And I'm jumping off the train.
Is it kind of like looking back at the Navy where you're like, I want to love you, but you just don't love me back the way I want to love you?
Yes, exactly. It's like and then the Michigan Ohio State game is just like it's like a duty day where when you're supposed to when you change duty section, something's not right, so you get held over, and you don't get to go home.
Duty section on a Saturday. It's
on a Saturday
at 8:00, and you're there until 10 because
there's water in the
sweep.
There's water in the bilge, and
yeah. Well, okay. No, I think that it's gonna be Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not betting again. This is kind of like the Brady comparison. Like, are you going to bet against Tom Brady? Like, nah, man. I'm taking Nick Saban. And
eventually, though, all right. So they keep rolling quarterback to quarterback to quarterback. They lost Mac Jones. So you're rolling in with a new quarterback. I don't know who they're throwing in there. I can't say that I know Alabama's roster up and down. Ohio State lost Fields, and Clemson lost Lawrence.
Yeah, but you don't think that these guys have?
No, obviously they've been successful. Obviously they've been successful because they have a great feeder system. So once one guy moves, the next guy steps in. But eventually, it's got to stop.
Yeah, and it'll stop when the coaches leave.
Which is why I'm confident in taking the field this year. I do not believe that those are the three teams that are going to be standing at the end of the year. I believe that there's going to be somebody else this year. I don't know who, but I believe
Oklahoma might be in there.
Yeah, you got Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe my Wolverines this year finally, Mike.
Yeah, maybe UCF gets in.
Yeah, right. All right. So right now, the preseason rankings, obviously your three are 1, 2, and 3: Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. Notre Dame always falls apart. Texas A&M never beats Alabama. They do, but not very frequently. Oklahoma, Florida, Cincinnati, no. Georgia, maybe. Iowa State, no. Indiana, absolutely not. Coastal Carolina, absolutely not.
Yeah, I think you're kind of getting down into the teams that just you and I can probably both agree they're probably not.
Well, all right, but then you get down to the bottom half here. You got USC, Miami, Texas. Those are three teams that might be on the upswing.
Well, those are three very storied programs, and you cannot count out how successful and popular how successful they've been in the past and how popular they've become over time.
Mm-hmm.
You can't deny that. I won't deny that, at least. So these are preseason rankings, right?
By the way, we're putting a pizza down on this. The winner gets a pizza.
All right, now I'm emotionally invested. Okay.
Meatloaf's pizza. No veggies on it.
I'm cool with it, man. Who doesn't like pizza? Yeah, man. So these college football Florida's a team that could very well be in there, I think.
Yeah. But they lost their quarterback too. Trask.
That's true.
It just seems like there were so many quarterbacks that went out into this year's draft that, maybe the door finally swings open for somebody different. Like we were talking in the NBA, I don't like the same teams winning year after year after year. I would love to see a new team. I'd love to see my Michigan Wolverines be that team. But, I wouldn't mind seeing somebody else finally knock one of these three down a peg. Notre Dame is consistently there, but they never show up in the big game.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to them.
Brian Kelly just seems like he can't he can't win he can win the big one. He can't win the big one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Notre Dame, you know, you're already working at a disadvantage with them because they're an academic school. They're not a football school. I mean, they're a very popular. I mean, I would definitely get a lot of crap for saying they're an academic school more so than a football school. They've got a history there and everything like that, and a fervent following of a fan base, and deservedly so. I mean, there's a lot of like solid sports history, or excuse me, even like their women's basketball team was
good, very good.
You know, very very successful there.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's definitely, you know, you can go to Notre Dame and still be successful athletically as well as academically. Mm-hmm. And but you know, it's not Alabama, where if you go to Alabama, you know, you're there for football.
Yeah.
You know, you go to Texas, you go to Ohio State, you go to even Clemson now, you're going there for athletics.
Yeah.
And it's tough to overcome that when you get into the playoff. You know, you're kind of looking up at a team there. I mean, Oklahoma's a school that could very well.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I mean, we're gonna find out very early. I'm pulling up Alabama's schedule right now. They start their season in Atlanta versus Miami. That'll be a good one. That'll be a hell of a way to start a season.
Yeah, because you know, you want to start the year with kind of, you know, you want to play, you know, Southeastern Missouri A&M or whatever. You know, you want to have the build up game and everything.
No, they're jumping right into it. You know, they're playing Miami right out of this.
Yeah, that'll be good for Miami as well to kind of find out, you know where they are.
Well, last year they were supposed to take the jump and they didn't. They started off very well and then they kind of faltered down the end. But last year was just such a crazy schedule. I mean, it was a nightmare. I mean, you kind of look at last year with a little, I'm not saying it's an asterisk because it's not, but it was a weird college football season. I mean, some teams starting like a month and a half after other teams, and it was just a very, very weird season. So hopefully everything goes back to normal this year and they can have a normal football season. And, you know, nothing, in my opinion, is better than a college football crowd. So hopefully, you know, the crowds will be rowdy again this year.
I think so. I mean, I think that, you know, the well, I mean, outside of like COVID and those restrictions and everything like that, I think that there is a severe drop off after Nick Saban and after Dabo Swinney. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's just a few programs that are just, you know, everybody's chasing them and they keep, you know, the gap doesn't get closer as more time goes by. It's like you have this gap and you have, you know, Alabama and Clemson, everybody else. And as more time goes by, it just stays the same and nobody can really gain onto those programs. It's tough. It really is. I mean,
yeah, I mean, those two have. I mean, Saban's completely separated himself, like you said.
Yeah,
Sweeney's up there with them, but it's Saban and everybody else as far as I'm concerned. And it's just, you know, who's at Ohio State? Day, isn't it Day? Ryan Day.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job last year. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. Now, if he does that again this year, you know, maybe the gap gets closed out because, you know, there's definitely a void of talent that you have to fill when your starting quarterback gets drafted. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Ohio State has somebody there, you know, waiting in the wings to roll right in and take the job. I haven't looked into it.
Yeah.
But a program like that is not falling short of recruits or anything like that.
No.
And that's why I say, you know, the same thing with, you know, you give me Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State. Yeah, man, I'll take those three to win the national championship than everybody else. Now,
two of the three of them were in the final last year. So
yeah. So, I mean, you know, you're looking at teams like, I think like Oklahoma there with Lincoln Riley, and he's doing a heck of a job. You know, they've been pretty successful. They also have an offensive lineman on that team that I really like. I hope, you know, Detroit might go after. But
Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Florida as well. Florida's, they've got to be looking at getting into the playoff this year.
I mean, Georgia's another SEC team, but again,
Georgia, Auburn. I don't know what Auburn's looking like, but
Penn State's another team that's kind of has up and down years, and
yeah. And then those three programs that you mentioned, USC, Texas, Miami. I mean, they're always competitive, and now I think with the restrictions coming off a little bit, we're going to see a different college football season this year. And like you say, like Alabama starts the season at Miami or against Miami, not at Miami.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. But right now, as it stands here on July 19th, I'm taking those three teams, and you go ahead and take your field, Joey. Take your field. I'm taking those three teams, and we'll see what happens.
Well, go blue, baby.
Yeah, whatever. So, but yeah, is that about it? Or
I think we're gonna wrap it up for this one, and hopefully we can get some people to like it and share it and subscribe to us and get some more viewers. Yeah, I know, right? There we go. Like I was telling you, Mike, we get some I can't talk. We get some subscribers. We might get a little raffle giveaway if we can get maybe, I don't know, about 150 subscribers, Mike? What do you think?
If we can get 5 subscribers, it'd be cool. I don't know, man. Maybe we do like a little gift card giveaway or something.
Listen, we get up to 150
subscribers. Can I get a gift card? I need a gift. We're the ones doing the work here.
Listen, we can get up to 150. We're gonna do a little bit of a raffle, so get us shared out there. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us what stuff that you want to hear. Hopefully we can try to figure out after we do this a little bit, we can do it live and get some people talking to us while we're doing it, and get some input, get some feedback live while we're doing it, Mike.
Yeah. I'm cool with all that. I just for me, I enjoy this. It gives me a chance to talk sports, and absolutely. That's kind of like the whole reason. I don't want to lose sight of that.
Absolutely.
And I think the more interaction we have with people, the better. We'll get some feedback. Maybe we can, I'd like to spruce it up a little bit. Maybe we get like some graphics going, some music going at the beginning and end and stuff like that. It'll make it, just put that professional-ish, touch on it.
We'll figure out as we go, buddy. Hey, we got microphones this time.
Yeah, we got microphones. That's step one. So I don't know, but it's pretty cool doing this. I'm glad we decided to, get the ball rolling and everything.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. Catch you guys on the next one.
Take care, bud.